So here's a sitch on the ATL box score today. We talk at the beginning of the show why this is the sucky part of the year for all the local teams. And then we have Mike Brumagen on the show to talk all things NBA, from LeBron James to James Harden, and to why the Bucks are just being the dominant team and why that sucks if you're a Hawks fan. But at the same time, we do give you a positive note and positive reason to keep on cheering for your Atlanta Hawks. This is the ATL Box Score podcast with Alex Berger. You're listening to Atlanta's newest sports podcast, and you're listening to our recapping the weekend. With starting a new podcast, people ask me all the time, Alex, where do you record your show at? Do you do it at your house? No, I don't do it at my house because of just a lot of different logistical factors. The place that I do it at is actually a place called Spaces, Midtown East. And Spaces is a co-working center where I get my show recorded and I get other work done. Co-working has been one of these new phenomenons in the private business sector that has popped up recently. And Spaces also has another brand called Regis, which is more of a professional brand. Spaces is more for creators like myself. But to tell you more about these special brands in the business world is Mr. Steve Choi.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate those kind words. We absolutely love having you and ATL Box Score as part of our space. It's always great when we see you doing your work. But absolutely, Spaces and the Regis concept, we are both workplace providers here in the Atlanta area, but all around the world. We have over 250 Spaces locations worldwide, plus over 1,500 Regis locations. And what we're really here to do is just provide flexible options for any type of professional, whether you're an independent professional, creative, or if you're a large or small business. So we have several different types of options from small to large, and memberships, part-time, full-time. So definitely come on out and check us out. Go ahead and look at the link on Alex's site and ask for Steve Choi. And if you ever come into one of our locations, let us know that Alex sent you, or ATL Box Score, and we'll go ahead and set you up with a free 5-day test drive.
Yeah, you can't beat that 5-day test drive. In those 5 days, you will know if Spaces or Regis is the right brand for you. And Spaces is all over the place. They're a little bit more limited, but they're in the main areas of the city. The one we are is right in the heart of Midtown, near the Fox Theater. There's one at the Battery. There's going to be one opening up North Point Mall there. And there's also a location in Colony Square. So they are all over the metro area. At just about any major business building in the Atlanta area has a Regis in it. So just Google them. But Spaces and Regis and Steve Choi in particular is your place to do your business. Well, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a good weekend. I know we're putting this out a little bit later here on a Tuesday, but this is still our recapping the weekend show. And by the way, you're listening to Atlanta's newest sports podcast, the ATL Box Score. And be sure to follow us out on social media. Check us out on social media. We are ATL Box Score all over the page with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So be sure to check us out, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and like us wherever you see us. So we would appreciate that. I'm Alex Berger, and right now joining me is Steve Choi. Steve, how are you doing today, man?
Very, very good, sir. How are you?
Did you enjoy the Oscars?
Yeah, I did. It was interesting because it didn't have the host or a host, and yet it went by swimmingly well, I thought.
It had the narrator, right?
No, didn't have it.
No narrator to be like,
no.
This is Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. They did.
That's a narrator, buddy.
Oh, okay. That's a narrator. Okay.
Yeah, that's a narrator. You're watching the what was the number? Let's go. You were watching the 77th Academy Awards.
I think it's like the 101st or something.
Oh, 101st. Excuse me.
But yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, I honestly haven't seen any of the movies that were nominated.
Mm-hmm. Which is like the case nowadays too.
I mean, even Black Panther I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen Black Panther either.
Whoa, we both need to see it. That's our next weekend, movie weekend.
Okay, I guess so.
I guess.
Even though, I mean, yeah.
I'll watch the sequel before I watch the original.
I've heard about Wakanda and how it's an attractive place.
Mm-hmm. So you already know the whole deets.
I know the premise, but I don't know the thing.
You know what other premise I know? Spider-Man, but I'm still going to go watch it. He gets bit by a spider? Whoa. Okay.
I mean, I've been meaning to. It's just never really a priority.
Well, I haven't seen that, and I definitely haven't seen all the other more independent ones.
Yeah, I haven't really seen a lot of them, too.
Oh, we did see one.
We did see, we saw Vice. Exactly. That was pretty hilarious.
It was a fun movie, right?
It was a fun movie.
People will take it seriously, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, good weekend. Enjoyed the Academy Awards. Enjoyed the race in Atlanta. NASCAR.
How was the race?
It was good. Pretty exciting. Not that many wrecks, but it's the first regular track outside of a super speedway like Daytona. So this is sort of like game one or race one of the season.
I thought race one was last week.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So Daytona is such a special case that it's not like a regular race. And so Atlanta is the first regular race. So this is sort of like race one. Of course, it's not race one. It's sort of like race one. But it was good. Brad Keselowski won. He had a stomach flu, so he didn't even practice during the weekend, and he ended up pulling off the victory. And so it was pretty good. It's pretty cool seeing the race here in Atlanta.
Well, yeah, that was our impromptu NASCAR update right there.
Well,
brought to you by Steve Choi.
That was also the bright spot of Georgia sports.
It was the bright spot about Georgia sports. I guess to be fair too, Steve, since we're on this, and I know that you've done a good job so far about not mentioning the West Coast, but with Mike, we didn't really talk about the Warriors. So how are the Warriors doing nowadays?
They came off the break and had a tight game versus the Kings, and then they lost against the Rockets without James Harden, so that was kind of awful. And then they kind of came back. DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie, came out and scored his season high, like 26 or something last night.
Do you think this is LeBron's last season?
No, not at all. I think he legit is trying to wait to see if his son can make the NBA. Legit, totally, 100%.
And where's his son at right now? Is he
in
middle school?
He's in high school or maybe middle school, junior high. I don't know, but I know that's his legit goal. And the thing about it is I used to not believe in LeBron James rumors. Like when they were talking about, he's going to go to the Lakers. Everybody was like, I was like, no way. Why would he go to the Lakers? Like, that's such a stupid thing. Like, there's so many greats with the Lakers. Why would he muddy up his name by going to a team that he's just another one of the players? And then when he signed with Lakers, I was like, oh, okay. So maybe there's some validity to some of these LeBron rumors. And so I think he's legit trying to wait it out.
When he signed with the Lakers, I thought it was going to be Lakers-Warriors Eastern Conference Final.
No, I never thought that. Because the rest of that team is garbage.
Well, now it's. I mean,
Lonzo Ball is like the most garbage.
Well, people I think were expecting that he would have a better season than he's having, and you would expect that LeBron would take them all. No one saw. I don't think no one really saw, unless you're like following LeBron James' career pretty closely. No one saw he's going to be injured and he was going to be out for this long.
Okay, so let's put it this way: when Kyrie left, so with Cleveland, LeBron had Kyrie and Kevin Love, which are two, very huge players in their own right. Okay, so now you have LeBron James with who? Kyle Kuzma?
Yeah, he has nothing.
Brandon Ingram?
He has nothing because of injuries.
Lonzo Ball?
Lonzo Ball's out, buddy.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I see. I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, LeBron always wills his teams to win, especially when they get into the playoffs. I don't think, like, if they got into the playoffs, I don't think they would be like a 1 seed or something like that. But I think he would have, if he would have stayed healthy the whole year, I think the Lakers would be in some sort of playoff position. And then,
right.
And then kind of like, who knows who knows how far they could go. But I felt like the Warriors would probably own them in like 5 games.
Here's how I felt. I felt like definitely it was a massive power shift from to the Lakers. They became elevated because of LeBron James and the focus. But what you're seeing right now is what's interesting. So obviously he wanted to get Anthony Davis. He wanted to trade basically the entire team for Anthony Davis, which they couldn't pull off. So now you got a lot of bitter guys on the bench who aren't used to having the hyper focus of possibly being a pawn in LeBron's chess game. And so now they're like, oh, well, he doesn't really care about us anyway.
Yeah.
I thought we were trying to build a team here. And so everybody's saying that, he totally erased all the team bonding that he had done over the course of the season. And I agree to that to a certain extent, but that also shows the inexperience of the guys he's playing with. So the guys like Rajon Rondo, they know. Lance Stevenson, he should know. You make it. Sometimes you get traded. Sometimes you don't.
You know what they could do now? The young Boston players could get together with the young Laker players and kind of counsel each other on what's going on, because it's the same situation in Boston right now with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, but the bigger difference between that, I will say, is this.
I think Boston has a little more talent than L.A.
Not only do they have more talent, but those guys did it without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, and now Kyrie's moaning about
yeah, so they're kind of like,
things.
Man, forget this dude. Like, we don't need him. We didn't need him last year. We don't need him now.
Right, exactly.
So
we got on a little bit of an NBA tangent there, but this is kind of like, this is a warm-up for Mike. So
yeah.
So if you're wondering about all the other stuff that we talk about, we cover the rest of the NBA spectrum with Mike Brumagen coming up very
I get
shortly.
to talk about Dubs so that way Mike doesn't have to.
There you go. Getting a little salty there?
Not for me. I got the rings, so I'm good.
Little salty there?
We have the rings, so I'm good. I mean, maybe he might be a little salty.
Keep saying that.
Because LeBron.
There's a lot of Patriots fans who are really salty and really sensitive when they shouldn't be.
Robert Kraft is kind of salty.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I saw like those pictures on SportsCenter, and it's kind of like Tom Brady had this look. You okay, buddy?
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Hey,
How you doing, buddy? And Robert Kraft's like, never do what I did.
Right.
Never go to a massage parlor.
Right. Or he said, dang, Tom, that was a bad recommendation.
Or the other way around. If you ever want to get a massage, bring those people to your house.
Right. Whoa.
So,
or they go to this barefoot place in Atlanta off of Juniper Street.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you brought that up. Moving on. Speaking of Atlanta, though, This is a sucky time. I feel like to have rooting interest.
Horrible time of the year.
Yeah, this is.
Sports.
I'm just like right now. The Atlanta Hawks. You don't expect anything from them.
Great game last night.
Great game last night. Yeah.
Turned up. Still lost.
Still
turned
lost.
up.
Still put like 4 people on James Harden.
James Harden, they caused him to break his streak of 30 games. So, or 30 plus.
You're going to hit a mic there.
Points.
Mike's going to talk about that.
Oh, okay. Anyways, great game. But yeah, the Hawks.
Sometimes I do pre-record my interviews that I have, just FYI. That's the world of podcasting for you. But anyways, the Dogs right now, I feel like are a year away. And you've been saying this about Tom Crean.
Yeah.
That they're just going through a rebuilding phase. But it sucks, though. They're like they've been like losing back-to-back games at one point.
But let me just say this.
Okay, say this.
They're not used to winning, so that's not a problem. It's not like Duke losing back-to-back games
By 1 point.
Then it's like, oh man, that's
but it's it's not even that. It's like it's by 1 point, and one of them was like a technical foul.
Oh, that was terrible.
That was
That
stupid.
was lame. That was lame. They had that.
Right, which I mean,
That's
knowing
called an experience.
knowing Georgia fans, I'm not trying to say that was right or anything like that, but knowing that fan base, I know how it can get. I'll just put it that way.
This wasn't a football game.
Yeah, but when you get something that's used to winning, you expect. But I do feel like Tom Crean is a year away, so there's hope.
Yeah.
Next year.
Okay.
And we can just kind of
keep recruiting. Keep
right.
getting better.
But with Josh Pastner, I look at his program, and I'm just like, there's no hope right now.
Do you remember when Georgia Tech was like the team?
Oh yeah,
Kenny Anderson.
right.
A bunch of different guys that came out of there.
You had
Kenny Anderson was one of my favorite players. Kenny Anderson from Georgia Tech. He played in Georgia Tech and went to New Jersey Nets. He was one of my favorite young players of all time when I was coming up because he was a point guard and he could drop dimes and score. So I think he got drafted like third out of Georgia Tech.
You also had what's his name out of Georgia Tech? He was like very short. Played for the Heat with LeBron. Not Dwayne Wade, but
wasn't Chris Bosh, was it?
Yes, Chris Bosh.
He played for Georgia Tech.
He played for Georgia Tech, yeah. I said the same thing.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, those Bobby Cremins teams, though.
Killer.
Oh, yeah, legit. I mean...
But we're on the other side of that.
Yeah, you kind of wish, though, that Cremins would come back.
I don't know if that would help.
I don't know either, especially...
Dennis Scott was a Georgia Tech player.
Right.
Oh, God. This is one that I didn't even know. Stephon Marbury was a Georgia Tech alum.
It doesn't surprise me.
And now he has a statue in China. Hello.
Hello. I almost thought, I was like, who's Stephon Marbury?
You know Stephon Marbury.
I know. I saw the special on ESPN.
You know Mark Price, who was another one of my favorite players growing up with the Cleveland Cavaliers, was a Georgia Tech point guard.
So there's a lot of people in the league right now comes from Georgia Tech. So I guess that's a good point of pride if you're a Tech fan.
What was and what is are two different things now.
Right. Well, it's like with Georgia football for a while. It was kind of like, yeah, we had Champ Bailey and we had Hines Ward.
And who else?
And Matt Stafford. You're forcing them to go off the dome.
Yeah.
Of all the Georgia players. You also had Todd Gurley.
But who's the all-time greatest Georgia player to make it to the NFL? Herschel Walker.
Oh, you Herschel Walker.
Herschel Walker.
Well, I was like, when you said all-time greatest player, I was like, yeah, it's Herschel Walker. But then I was wondering, I was like, are you trying to say like best career? Because that would be Francis Starkington.
Oh, nice.
So that
shouldn't Herschel Walker be Herschel Runner?
I guess so. I don't know. I mean, so
hey, we're just trying to make light because of the disappointing time of the year for Georgia sports.
Right. Okay. I see your optimistic
just trying
mode.
To be fun here.
But speaking though of football, it's kind of just like it was after the Super Bowl. It was when I feel like this lull.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I like coming
to
work. I come into work, Steve, and I'm just like, what do we talk about? What's there to talk about? Because, I mean, at this segment, I used to just recap what we were going on, but I'm just like, it's not worth it anymore. It's just too sad.
Oh, buddy. Take your head out of the oven. It's going to get better.
I know Atlanta United's going to start playing.
Braves are right around the corner.
Yes, Atlanta United is going to start winning.
Yes. Braves are, going to see if they can repeat and making it back to the postseason.
Which I think they will.
So things are starting to turn around, buddy. It's not all doom and gloom.
No, it's not doom and gloom, but I come into work and I'm like, what are we going to talk about on the podcast? NASCAR.
Hey, even though it's not great for Georgia sports, NBA.
Yeah, as a whole, but it's kind of just like if you're a Hawks fan.
March Madness is around the corner, but again, that's not going to help for Georgia sports.
March Madness will be interesting. I'll put it that way.
March Madness is always fun to watch,
regardless.
Right. And that's right around the corner. It's already March this Friday.
Yep. But I guess what I'm thinking about when I said that it's like this is a miserable time of year is when the Hawks were doing really well. I think it's interesting that I'll say this before I get into that Hawks magical season in 2014 with Coach Bud. Yeah. I'm not going to try to say the rest of that last name.
No.
Who's now with the Bucks and who's now have them in first place, and I just realized that today. I forgot where he went.
Yeah.
But anyways.
He's killing it.
He is killing it. I loved Coach Bud when he was here.
He's got a hell of a team, too.
He just... The problem with Coach Bud was you had GMs go in and out like a revolving door.
Yeah, we can't even touch that.
Right.
That was crazy.
He even has Danny Ferry as the GM up there, who was the GM down here. When
is he there?
Yeah, he's Milwaukee? There. Yeah, and killing it.
That's interesting.
So,
I thought he went somewhere else.
No.
Like Oklahoma or something.
No, he's with Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
Now you're going to fact check me. I see you're going to your computer.
I read something about Danny Ferry just took over for somebody.
So.
Yeah, he's not. No.
Oh,
he's the interim GM with the Pelicans.
Oh, that's right.
Nolans.
But there's someone else who was here that had the thing, that our country goes through on a somewhat consistent basis, especially when Trump started running for office. I'll just put it that way. He had the thing going on.
Nice.
I forget his name.
But they're good.
Mike Brumagen brings it up.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. This is what happens when you don't have a producer and you can't look things up. You don't have someone in your ear. But, so yeah. As I lost my train of thought there for a second.
So, anyways, we were talking about sports, the Hawks' magical season.
The Hawks' magical season, right. Yes, the Hawks' magical season. Because then this time of year was fun.
Of course.
Because it's like if you get a basketball team winning, Unfortunately, Georgia State. Yeah, I know you Georgia State people are probably like, why aren't you talking about us? Y'all just aren't in a bigger conference. That's the only problem with Georgia State.
Well, they might make it.
I think they will, but it's hard for people to get excited about Georgia State during the regular season. During the postseason, yeah, we'll definitely get behind you.
Yeah.
But it's during the regular season where I feel like that's a little hard sell. But with the Hawks' magical season, everyone was on board. Majority of, I would say 75% of the city wanted to see the Hawks do well.
I mean, that's just natural. That makes sense.
Right. I mean, it was crazy to think that it's like that one game we had to play your team, like we just worked you the whole night.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
And then they went to New York, and Cephalosius got his leg bagged in, and it was kind of like, well, that's the end of our defense. And then a couple other players got injured. Then LeBron just schooled us.
Yeah.
So, but
well, don't fret. I mean, one of these days, that's the way it works in sports, is that you got to suffer through the bad years. I mean, let me tell you, the Milwaukee Bucks have had their fair share of bad years.
Oh, absolutely.
So, no one ever mentioned Milwaukee Bucks until just recently.
Right.
But I think the Hawks, I think they got a great young guy in Trae Young. Now, of course, everybody's gonna make comments.
I think this year. I think next year will be a better time in this part of the year.
Yeah,
after football season,
and then with
totally
Georgia
over.
Coming back one more year under Crean.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tech's still going to be in the same spot. I don't see Tech is in a hole right now. Let's just be honest, guys. But
it should be good.
Yeah.
Next year will be great.
But if you wondered what you stumbled onto, this is the ATL Box Score podcast with Alex Berger, and I am Alex Berger, in case you're curious. So before we bring Mike on, definitely going to need your guys' help. So be sure to check us out on social media. And if you feel like we're deserving of a like, be sure to hit that like button wherever you see us on social media, because we do share this podcast through social media, Facebook and Twitter. Also, we're on Podbeam, and we're everywhere you can get podcasts now, or at least the main three, which is iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. So be sure to check us out on there, and hopefully you like what you heard and you could give us a good review. With that, we are going to transition, and we're going to get into my conversation that I have with Mike Brumagen about the NBA, and usually this is the conversation that we get into at the beginning of the week, talking NBA, and so this has been a pretty heavy NBA podcast, but yeah, we're gonna get a little bit deeper into the NBA now with Mike Brumagen coming on the show. Well, now we have from CNN Sports. How did I screw that one up? From CNN Sports, we have Mr. Mike Brumagen talking about the league. And what I mean the league, I mean the NBA, because right now it is all about basketball from college to the NBA. Mike, how are you doing? Are you enjoying this season? Because there are no distractions right now. Football's long gone. It's all basketball from here till probably like pretty much till baseball season.
Soccer's starting soon.
Soccer, yeah. I always kind of count that out, but when I said that, I was like, oh yeah, soccer starts soon.
How do you count that out? We are the reigning champions. We, Atlanta, are the reigning champions. When's the last time you could say that about any sport? You were
true.
A kid. You were like 5 years old when the Braves won. Like,
I think it was 6.
Hey,
I think it was 6 or 9. Way, yeah, I got what you're saying.
It's a big deal, man. Big deal.
Yeah. So
but it's great. I'm loving it. And to me, it's actually kind of fitting that TNT is like one of the primary networks that covers the NBA because, as you know, with TNT, their slogan is TNT, we know drama.
right,
Um,
right.
the NBA season this year has so much drama. It's almost hilarious.
Can you get access to that set?
Um, I mean, if I want to, I could go over there. I don't have a reason to go over there, and they're
And
not
just
paying me, so
right,
so
right. But you have like an access card to like
Turner Building, yeah.
the Turner Building, yeah. Because I think it'd be cool just to go over. Like I've always wanted to see like the March Madness stuff
Yeah,
when
I've
they
been
do the
on the
March.
NBA set before. The NBA set's really nice.
Oh, I bet it is. Well, it's the same one they use for March Madness, right?
Is it? I'm not sure because I can't remember the March Madness set. I hardly ever pay attention to it.
Because I know for March Madness they usually have the guys, Ernie Johnson and
Yeah,
Charles
no,
Barkley and
Ernie, Kenny, and Chuck all do coverage for March Madness, but I thought they had their own set. They might just change out the props and use the same stage.
right. And I know the graphics are a little bit different, but anyways, getting into some NBA talk. What's your thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks? Because usually in the NBA, everything goes by the script. You would think the Celtics would be in that number. I mean, not the Celtics. You would think Golden State would be in that number one spot. I don't think a lot of people were thinking how, until now, are seeing how great the Nuggets are. So the favorites going into the season aren't really the favorites right now in the standings. So what's your thoughts on Milwaukee and the power rankings that are out right now?
They're just that. It's just a talking point. The Bucks are playing great, and I think they're one of only a few teams in the league that they could actually put up an entertaining, if not competitive, series against the Warriors. But even though they have a better record than the Warriors right now, nobody thinks that the Warriors are not the favorites. They're clearly like in a league of their own. They have their lulls where they, play down to their competition, but they're just so good offensively. It's really hard to compete. But the Bucks, the thing they have going for them, aside from Giannis, who is one of the favorites for an MVP this year, the Bucks have length. They have length. They play physical style defense. They can play man up. They can switch. Defensively, they're capable of really causing problems for the Warriors. So that's why I think they could be competitive. I don't know if they could keep up scoring wise because, the Bucks have some shooters. Their shooters aren't like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. Like the Warriors legit have 3 of the top 5 shooters in the league. So it's going to be hard for anyone to really keep up with the Warriors when it comes to scoring. But their defense is long and rangy enough that they could cause problems, win a few games, make it competitive. It could be fun to watch, and then you have Giannis dunking on everybody, and who doesn't want to see that? So I think the Bucks are right there in the thick of things when it comes to competing for that spot in the finals against the Warriors. Mm-hmm. Really, for me, it really comes down to the Bucks or the Raptors. A lot of people are still high on the Celtics, but they just haven't been playing very good lately. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games, but the games that they've lost, they look real bad. Like when they're losing, it's like they don't show up. They have no chemistry. There's a disconnect between the veterans and the young guys on the team. So they have the talent to be a top-tier team. They have the talent to even be a contender against the Warriors because they're deep 1 through 15, but they're just not clicking right now. So if they can pull it, there's 22 games left in the season for most teams. So if the Celtics can pull it together in the last stretch of games, headed into the playoffs, they could definitely be one of those top contenders. But right now, like the Bucks and the Raptors are kind of the top dogs in the East, and then of course you got the Warriors sitting atop the West.
I always try to look for the silver lining in things, and the Bucks right now on top of the power rankings, because let's be honest, 5 years ago the Bucks used to be a pretty easy win if you had them on the schedule, but now they're running things. So do you think that could be a positive, seeing where this organization has gone for the Atlanta Hawks? Because obviously they were in a rebuild for a long time.
I don't know if it's a positive for the Hawks that the Bucks are running things.
I mean, no. I mean that you can achieve, that you can be on top of the NBA.
Because the irony of the Bucks running things this year, this is their first year with a new head coach. Their new head coach this year is Mike Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer, formerly the Atlanta Hawks coach. So
I totally forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so does that look good for Atlanta? Hey, we had this guy. He was a really great coach. He knows what he's doing. Hey, you give him talent, look what he can do. He can run the East. Just like New Orleans Pelicans just fired the GM because the team is atrocious. And they named their interim GM is lo and behold, former Atlanta Hawks GM. Oh God, how I forget his name all of a sudden. The guy who had the scandal with the racist.
I know gee.
My brain just totally.
I know who you're talking about, and I can't even.
Danny Ferry. I don't know.
Danny Ferry, yeah.
Went blank all of it. Yeah, like Danny Ferry helped Atlanta Hawks team that actually had the best. He said. And now there's a possibility that he could be in a position where he gets to be permanent GM going forward for New Orleans and try to turn that team around. And we're like, we could, in a couple of years be looking at New Orleans like, hey, remember that time when that guy used to work for us? Just like with Budenholzer in Milwaukee. Hey, you remember when he was coaching us? Like, I hate seeing stuff like that because I know Danny Ferry has the capacity to be good. So, I'm already seeing it in the future. And he's going to, turn them around, and we're going to be looking like, hey, what if we had kept that guy?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Let's not get into the what ifs because that can get frustrating.
Right.
Being an Atlantan.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bucks are really good, and Budenholzer, to his credit, is doing a phenomenal job with that group. Heaven forbid, Giannis Antetokounmpo develops a reliable jump shot. He will be by leaps and bounds the best player in the league. He's already in the discussion. He's already one of the top 5 guys that you could name in the league right now. But if he gets a reliable jump shot, it's over. It's a wrap. You won't be able to talk about anybody else. You're not going to be able to talk about Kevin Durant as the best player. LeBron's already on the down climb because of, he's getting old. So it's just once Giannis gets that jump shot, it's a wrap. For the next, just after that point, count him as the best player in the league for probably the next 5 to 8 years. Because he's that good.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, because just where the standings are right now, that it looks like it could probably be a Toronto, Milwaukee Eastern Finals. If that matchup happens, I think that's going to be pretty entertaining.
they match up really well against each other. They both have some size. They both have good defense. They both have some quality shooters. They both have guys who are capable of slashing to the basket, creating shots for themselves. They both have good guard play. Like the Bucks, they got Eric Bledsoe at guard, who's capable of being a top level scorer. The Raptors have Kyle Lowry. So you got guys on each side, and then you got Giannis on the Bucks, and then you got Kawhi Leonard on the Raptors. They match up really well. That to me is what I want to see in the Eastern Conference Finals, because that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah,
at least on paper, in theory, it should be competitive and be fun to watch.
Right, because Toronto's always been that. They've never been a favorite, but they've always gone far, and I would like to see them kind of get to the Eastern Final.
They've always gone as far as they can get before they get to LeBron James.
Right, exactly.
That was their poison pill in the past. They never could get past LeBron James. I think they lost him like 2 or 3 years in a row at one point in the playoffs. But he's not there anymore. He's not in the East. He's out West, and now the only thing you gotta look at is Giannis and say, hey, is he kind of LeBronish? Can we get past that guy?
Mm-hmm. It seems like, though, up in Toronto, the Raptors have become like the second favorite team, just because the Maple Leafs haven't really been a competitive hockey team till of late. So a lot of people get behind the Raptors up there.
Yeah, they love basketball up there. It's a really good basketball city. Don't discount the Maple Leafs. Just because they're not like one of the top teams and they haven't won a championship in a while, they still have like quality players.
Right.
But we're not here to talk about hockey.
Yeah. I just want to get your opinion on the Nuggets, because the Nuggets have been one of those teams too, and I know you've talked about them before on this show, but the Nuggets have been one of those teams that have kind of just snuck in here pretty silently.
Well, the Nuggets are really good, top to bottom. They have a solid team. They have good depth. Their top player, Nikola Jokic. Jokic is a phenomenal talent. He's a big man with all the skills. He can shoot the three ball. He can shoot the mid-range. He can play in the post. He can rebound. He's not a great defender, but he's not, going to hurt you defensively. I wouldn't say he's a liability, but he's not going to help you, but he's not going to hurt you. He just exists defensively. But he's phenomenal.
Just exists.
But he's not the kind of guy that I think will be able to take over and dominate in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they don't really have a guy like that. Like Jamal Murray, their guard, he's really talented and he's capable of taking over in spurts. But yet again, in the playoffs, you need somebody who you can rely on. Like this guy for sure, if we need him, he'd show up and just score 20, 30 points in an instant. And I don't see anybody on that roster who's capable of doing that with regularity. So I think that's going to be a problem once you get into the playoffs and you're playing 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
So for right now, they look great, and they've been playing great. But like when you get in the playoffs, you get 7-game series against some of the top teams. I don't know if, like, for certain, I don't think they have what it's going to take to get past the Warriors. But I don't know if they got what it's going to take to get past the second round.
Right.
Just because some of the other teams that are out there, I don't know that they match up well enough to be able to beat those teams in a 7-game set.
Right, absolutely.
But they're fun to watch.
Right.
They're definitely one of the teams on my short list to try to check out on NBA League Pass.
Okay. Now, it seems like just from where the Lakers stand right now, and they've been one of the teams that have gotten a lot of the headlines recently. That it looks like LeBron, and I might be wrong about this, but it looks like LeBron, for the first time since I think his rookie season, might be not playing in the month of April when the playoffs start.
Yeah, it's not looking too good. They're just sitting in 11th right now. They really had a shot. They could have been sitting in 9th or 8th right now, because the Spurs have been losing. The Kings are, or at least were within their reach, but nope. The Lakers have squandered it. Like they lost 3 of their last 4, and 3 of those losses were against teams that they shouldn't be losing to. The one game they won was a team that nobody thought they would win. Like, if you were looking at the schedule before they played those games, you were thinking they'll definitely win 3 of these and they'll probably lose to the Rockets. But they beat the Rockets and lost the other 3. They lost to the Hawks. They lost to the Pelicans, and the Pelicans weren't even playing Anthony Davis, which makes that even worse.
Right.
And then last night they lost to the Grizzlies.
Dang.
So if you flip that around, you give them those 3 wins, they're sitting at 32 and 28, which would put them over the Kings right now, who are 31 and 29. And that would have them sitting in 9th, looking ahead at the Spurs, just down by 1 game or a half game. And that would be a really great spot for them. They'd be looking up at the playoffs, only a half game back, but nope, they've lost 3 games they should have easily won, and they looked atrocious doing it. And now you really have to question, can they pull it together and make the playoffs? And it's not really looking like they can or will.
Is this what
their defense has been garbage. Like, I don't know if you've watched any of these games, but like last night against the Grizzlies, they literally would just stand there and let guys just run past them for layups. Like, it was like watching a really bad high school team versus a college team. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible.
And it's like having LeBron in LA, that was like the marquee ESPN promotion city back in October, and now it's just been squandered away. And I wonder, is this what happens when you have a veteran like LeBron, the best player in the league, and obviously you have to pay out for him, and now it's like he's just surrounded with a bunch of kids. And when because I mean, he was out for majority of at the beginning of the year, he was out for a good chunk of the season, and now you just have him with a bunch of kids. Do you feel like that nucleus, that they didn't have a plan B because they couldn't afford it? Do you feel like that's why the Lakers are in this spot, or is there some other factors going on here?
I feel like it's like a perfect mix of a lot of things happening all at once. You look at everything, you go back to December 25th, Christmas Day, the Lakers were blowing out the Warriors. LeBron was healthy. The whole team was healthy. They were gelling. They were playing really well. They were 4th seed in the West, and they were blowing out the Warriors. LeBron goes down with an injury. Okay, we're like, okay, this is the first time he's had a serious injury in his career. Let's see how this plays out. The injury wound up taking him more than a month to recover. Groin injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Misses 18 games, most games he's missed in a season his whole career. During that, so prior, they had just got to where they were gelling. They had some chemistry going. They were winning. They were 4th in the conference, and they were beating the best team in the conference. That's what they looked like. Then LeBron goes down. After LeBron goes down, then Rondo goes down for the second time this year. Rondo missed like 2-3 weeks. Then Lonzo Ball goes down with an ankle injury. He's still out, hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
So injury. You just kept getting more and more injuries, and that messed up the chemistry. Even without LeBron, who pretty much is the offensive system, he runs the offense. He pretty much is their de facto point guard. Well, he's out. Their backup point guard, Lonzo Ball, is out. Their other backup point guard, Rondo, was out. So you had a stretch of games where they didn't have any point guard. Then Rondo comes back, but, still no Lonzo, still no LeBron. And you still don't really have chemistry because you only have one out of 3 point guards, and he's not the guy who leads the team. So it just threw the whole team in a disarray as far as, like, chemistry and play style. And then you wind up with the trade rumors. Oh, Anthony Davis wants to be traded. Oh, the Lakers are trying to send their whole everybody. That affects the mentality and the approach of the young guys who are still healthy and playing. They're uncertain of where they're going to be tomorrow, let alone at the end of the week or the end of the season. So that further messes up how they're approaching the game, how they're playing. Then LeBron comes back. He's out of shape. He's unhealthy. He's not 100%. Clearly seems to, be sluggish. Perhaps he gained some weight. That's speculation. We don't know. He's not going to tell us if he gained weight, but he certainly doesn't look as spry or nimble as he was before the injury. He, even now, 8-9 games back after the injury, however long it's been, he still doesn't look the same. He's slow. He's not, he's not moving as quick. He's not jumping as high. You see in spurts where he'll do stuff and you're like, okay, that looks vintage LeBron-ish, like he ran in for a good dunk or whatever. But then you look at him on defense and he's not moving his feet. He's standing around. He looks slow. He's got his hands on his hips. He's looking gassed. Like, he is definitely out of shape. So that affects their play. And it's just so many things. It's like a perfect storm that's just made them spiral out of control into this free fall that we're watching right now, and they're now looking like they're not even going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
this horrible storyline. They go from 4th in the West to suddenly, hey, look at us, we suck.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where things stand right now. The only silver lining is last night's game against the Grizzlies. LeBron made history. What else is new? He seems to be making history all the time, but he passed Andre Miller to become 10th on the all-time assist leaderboard, and that makes him the only player in NBA history to be in the top 10 in both assists and points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But is that much of a silver lining when you're losing?
Yeah, and your team's not doing that great. Do you feel like it's appropriate to put the overrated tag on them?
On LeBron or on the Lakers?
On the Lakers.
It's hard to say. I feel like they're getting too much media attention. So in one sense, yes, but then on the other sense, for a while they were looking like what we had hoped that they would be or what they could be. And then things out of their control happened to lead to where they're at now. So it's hard to really look at them and be like, yeah, they're overrated, when at one time they were the 4th team in the West and they were looking actually pretty good, and they were like one of the top 5 defenses in the West when they were healthy. But injuries after injuries after injuries, now they're like one of the worst defenses in the league, and they look out of shape and look lost and have no communication, no chemistry. So
they're definitely one of those teams that it's like they're like Notre Dame and the Cowboys. The media likes to talk about teams like that even when they're doing really bad.
Well, yeah, well, especially with somebody like LeBron, because he's been so good for so long, and he's kind of been the standard bearer of what a professional basketball player could or should be. You know, just like constantly in the MVP discussion, constantly considered the best in the world. You know, he went to the NBA Finals 9 straight seasons. It's just ridiculous. You know, like it's hard to really look at things in 9 or 8. It's like 4 with the Heat, 4 with the Cavs. But yeah, so it's really hard to look at things and be like, yeah, this is totally acceptable from a guy like. It's not. We don't accept. This isn't something we should accept from somebody like LeBron. This isn't something that we should expect from someone like LeBron. We totally look at him and we expect him to be excellent, you know, and even with a subpar team, we still expect them to make the playoffs, and to see them be this bad, you know, it's unprecedented. So, you know, it's definitely worth being a talking point.
Right. Now, since LeBron,
this is the thing I would suggest is all right. So going into All-Star break, when things were looking questionable for the Lakers, the big question everybody was asking was, should they fire their coach? And Magic Johnson, Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss all came out and were like, no, Luke Walton's safe. His job, you know, he's our guy. If you've watched these games, you look at the way he handles making lineup adjustments, the way he handles the players on his roster. He's not inspiring anybody. He's not, you know, rallying the troops or getting them to commit to defense. He's not inspiring anyone to play better at all. He doesn't seem to have it together. He's at times looks completely clueless. Rondo is old and injury prone, and yet there was a stretch in a game the other night. He played Rondo 17 straight minutes without a break. That's not something. He's not a spry chicken. He's not 22 years old. You can't play him that long. You know, it's like that. Those are the kind of things that you look at and you're like, these decisions or lack thereof that Luke Walton is making in these games are contributing to how bad the Lakers are playing. He's not making them better. And then you look at the young guys that they have on their team, and, you know, with the exception of Kyle Kuzma, you know, it looks like some of these other guys are regressing. They're getting worse. And maybe some of that is because now they're playing against LeBron, and LeBron dominates the ball so much, but still in other areas, their game should be getting better. They should be improving incrementally in different aspects of the game. But they're not. Their jump shots aren't getting better. Their free throw shooting is getting worse. Things like that. And it's just like, all right, if these guys aren't developing, they're not getting better as they're getting older. Well, that's reflective of the coaching staff also, because part of their job, aside from coaching on a game-to-game basis, is to develop the players. I have a hard time looking at all of this stuff and looking at Luke Walton saying he's a good coach. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people like him and a lot of people think he's a good coach, but where's the evidence? Where's the evidence that he's an actual good coach? When has he had a game where he made decisions that you're like, wow, that was really smart coaching?
Yeah.
It's not. There's no evidence there. There's nothing to prove he's a good coach. Mm-hmm. So why is his job safe? Why are they keeping him for the rest of the year? You could fire him, give Brian Shaw a chance to run the team as an interim head coach for the rest of the year, see what Brian Shaw could do. Maybe he could rally the troops, or maybe he'll make better decisions with the lineups, at least be more competent, see if he can, get the team to make a strong push to the playoffs. And then in the off season, do an extensive coaching search to find a new guy who's going to fit the identity of the team that you want going forward. But to me, looking at all the pieces from even before LeBron got there to now, like, I don't see the evidence that shows that Luke Walton's a great coach.
Right.
Much less a good one.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely doesn't really prove to me that he's worth keeping. And I don't see why they're wasting time keeping him there for the rest of the year, especially if they're trying to make the playoffs. He clearly has lost the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
So why is his job safe?
Well, let's talk about something a little bit more positive, and that's James Harden's production, because right now he leads the league in points, and recently he had a pretty nice tribute that he got from an opposing team. So I'll let you tell the people about it.
You're getting two stories mixed up. You're getting James Harden mixed up with Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did get that mixed up.
But yeah, we can talk about Dirk real quick. It's really, really touching moment. Last night, the Mavericks are in town in Los Angeles playing the Clippers. They're the road team. Dirk Nowitzki, this is everyone's expect. He hasn't announced he's retiring, but everybody expects this is his last season. So he's been getting the swan song treatment everywhere he goes. And Doc Rivers, head coach for the Clippers, did a gesture that at least in my years of being a sports fan, I've never seen this before. But during the game play is in action, he calls a timeout. Literally, he doesn't even, no huddle, nothing. Instead of going to the bench to huddle with the team, he uses a timeout to go to the PA announcer, grabs the microphone, and gets the stands to give Dirk Nowitzki, the opposing player, a standing ovation. And he lauded Dirk as having been one of the greats, which he is. He's one of the greatest that's played. Especially when you consider all he's done for opening up the sport to Europeans. I mean, there were some good Europeans before him, but he really made it cachet. He made it like hip to have Europeans on your team, like, because he was so good.
Yeah.
He set a new standard. He's the first European player to come over and be the best team on his team and lead his team to the finals, win the finals, and be the finals MVP.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only European to be a finals MVP. So he's definitely put his stamp on the NBA history book, and for Doc Rivers to go out of his way as the home team, home coach, call a timeout and, bring the attention to Dirk and give him that standing ovation, that it was magnanimous. And seeing players on the court, Clippers going over, giving them high fives and hugs, it's just one of those beautiful moments in sports that it just makes you glad that you even like sports.
Well, that's really touching. Now with James Harden, since he's taking over as the points leader, what are your thoughts on that?
But he's been crushing it, man. This dude has been on a scoring tear. He had a streak going, 32 straight games of 30 or more points. He had a whole month where he was scoring more than 40 points. He was scoring 41.1 points a game for a month. Ridiculous. The only other person who's done that in history is Wilt Chamberlain, who scored 48.9 points a game. But Harden's streak was phenomenal, and people weren't sure how long it was going to last. But it was just something to behold. It was amazing. And one of the best things about it was his team was winning. They were still winning games with him putting on this huge amount of energy to score all the time. Good stretch of that period of him playing like that. Chris Paul wasn't even healthy. Chris Paul was out. He was carrying the load offensively. Now Chris Paul's back. So, obviously we figured at some point the scoring would balance out. That's not what happened here. What happened was playing against the Hawks, scrappy Hawks. If you had watched the game, it'd be fun. The Hawks were throwing double and triple teams at him at every turn. He still managed to get 28 points. He had 28 points entering the fourth quarter. He had 20, I think, entering the fourth quarter. He finished with 28, but at one point, like, he had 28 with like minutes to go, and he could not get that last shot to go in for 30. They were sending. At one point, he was trying to shoot a three. They sent 4 guys at him. Like, they were trying hard not to let the streak go on. Hawks lost the game, but it's just funny to see them go out of their way to try to be the scrappy upstart team to prevent him from keeping his streak up. And one of the things that I liked, so towards the end of the game when he was close to getting the streak, they just kind of got ridiculous with it, like sending 4 guys at him.
What?
When you're doing that, you've given up easy open shots to other players.
Right.
But for most of the game, they were playing really smart basketball. They would trap him with just 2 guys. They would have guys meet him at half court, like meet him as he brought the ball up, and they would trap him and force him to get rid of the ball. So for the most part, they were playing preventative defense, trying to prevent him from being able to be in a position to have control of the ball and get a shot off. That was smart, and I would like to see other teams who are better defensive teams do that against him. I definitely think once you get to the playoffs, you're probably going to see that strategy become commonplace. But it was just fun to see the Hawks actually doing something that was really smart. And, they didn't win the game, but they forced him to miss out on a streak. So that was really good for Atlanta.
Do you feel like that's Go ahead about Trae Young.
Actually, the Hawks rookie, Trae Young, actually outplayed him. Trae Young finished with 36 points, 8 of 12 from 3, and he had 8 assists. So good for the rookie showing up.
Yeah. Do you feel like, though, that's probably the highlight of the season for the Atlanta Hawks, even though they lost that game?
I don't think that's the highlight of this season. I think the highlight of the season was beating the Lakers, probably.
Okay. Even though the Lakers are doing as bad as they are.
Yeah. Well, think about it. If you're a Hawks fan, what do you care about? Because this game against the Rockets was in Houston. But the game against the Lakers, when they beat the Lakers, LeBron was healthy. LeBron was playing healthy, relatively. He was back from his injury. But he was playing, and the game was in Atlanta on your home court. That, to me, is a bigger deal. You got to beat LeBron James on your home floor. I think that's the signature game of their season.
It's pretty sad, though, that we have to think about what's the signature moment so far for the Atlanta Hawks, because it's just been that bad. But I feel like, though, the James Harden thing is pretty much described the Atlanta Hawks in a nutshell. That they've been playing really hard competitively, but they're just not talented enough to get it done.
I don't know if it's
or I should say they're just young. Yeah. There's a lot of young talent that can't get it done.
Yeah, because they have some talent. It's just most of their talent is like first and second and third year players.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got room to improve, to grow, and get better. I mean, right now they're 20 and 41, but figure they'll probably get like at least 5 more wins, if not more, before the end of the season. And I definitely can see them getting more than that next year. I think they're going to get better.
I think I agree with that. I think also too, Trae Young is going to get better. And I just want to see how he turns out to be a player 5 years from now.
I think when he focuses on facilitating and passing first, that's when he shines the most.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, he can have some stellar games. Like last night was great. I mean, he shot phenomenally from 3. But his 3-point shooting is streaky. It's good tonight. It'll be bad tomorrow. It's not reliable. He needs to get that reliable, and he needs to take smarter shots because sometimes he'll just jack them up. He's not Steph Curry. Steph Curry has limitless range. Steph Curry can literally shoot from anywhere. Steph Curry can shoot off the bounce. He can shoot off, coming off the screen, catch and shoot, whatever. He can literally shoot in any circumstance, off balance, whatever. Trae Young is not Steph Curry. Can he get there? Probably not, but he can at least get partially there. I think in aspects, I don't think any one player is ever going to be as good of a shooter as Steph Curry is. He might be the greatest shooter we've ever seen, ever, period. But I think in certain areas, Trae Young could get there. He's not going to be able to be the best shooter in every phase of shooting like Steph is, but maybe he'll be able to be at some point in his career the best at shooting off the dribble or shooting a step back or something. But right now I think he tries too much, or and they're young, and part of that is being young, they just want them to get experience, so they give him a green light to do whatever he wants. Be more smart and take calculated shots. That's going to improve. Once he learns when to jack up a shot and when not to, I can see him being a lot better.
Yeah. Well, with that, since we found our kind of positive silver lining for the Atlanta Hawks, with that, where could we reach you on social media?
At M Brumagen on Twitter.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, check out Mike on Twitter and be sure to give him some sort of shout out, or if you have any questions or want to hopefully respectfully debate him, that's where you can reach him at. So thanks for being on the show today, Mike, and appreciate you always talking about the league.
No problem, man.
All right. There was an interesting thing, though, I read this morning, which really surprised me. But if you can take advantage of this opportunity, might as well. Especially where this particular program is at right now. And I'm interested to see how this plays out. But what I'm talking about, and we're going to get more into this, but on Football Friday, this Friday, that's our Friday podcast. But Georgia Tech is going to play their future home game starting in 2020. A lot of changes coming in 2020, like Georgia, when they play Tennessee and Auburn, they're going to switch. Auburn's going to be the October-September-ish game, beginning of October, September. Tennessee then is going to be that November game. That's going to be pretty cold in Neyland Stadium when they have to play it in Neyland Stadium. Anyways, that's besides the point. Georgia Tech, though, is going to play their home games in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2020. I don't know how they're swinging this, how this is going to come off, but I know today there's a press conference, so I'm going to be a little bit more educated on the subject. But I do have an opinion about that, and I think it's a little odd. But I'll explain. I'll explain what I'm talking about next week. I mean, not next week, on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Football Friday is coming up. We're going to have Sean McAvoy on the show to break down all the quarterbacks going into the NFL Combine. So I just want to say thank you guys for listening. Thanks for joining us in the last hour, or if you skipped ahead, I don't blame you. So, but appreciate you guys checking us out. I know we're been a little bit late on getting this podcast out to you. So thanks for staying tuned. So, but just want to thank Steve, want to thank Mike Brumagen for being on the show today. And like I've said throughout the podcast, we are on social media. Be sure to check us out on social media. Also, too, and give us a like or comment in the comment section, because definitely this podcast is about you guys. This podcast is about Atlanta sports fans and the sports community that we have here, which I think is super cool. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start an Atlanta sports podcast, because there's a lot of rich tradition and culture and history with sports in this region, and a lot of people just don't know about it because we're not one of the big name markets. We're not New York, LA, or you just don't have a lot of teams that won a lot of championships, unfortunately. But hopefully that will start changing, and hopefully Atlanta United was the flagship, and hopefully we could see a lot of that with our sports teams. But be sure to check us out on we're on iTunes, Google Play. So if you could do us a favor there, wherever you're listening to, if you could hit the subscribe button if you want to keep on getting this podcast, because I'm assuming if you listen to this part of the show, then you like what you heard. So yeah, we're a pretty raw podcast when it comes to sports talk. This isn't a fancy produced show or anything like. I mean, it is produced, but yeah, we're a startup, so this is the beginning stages of what hopefully can be a great podcast, and we're trying to do that as best we can with the materials that we have. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, and be sure to comment in the comment section, because we'd love to hear your opinions. We're probably the only podcast out there with that would love to hear your opinions in the comment section. So put that stuff in the comment section, and you'll be hearing from me in the next podcast. This was episode 33 is out.